All right, excited to be back talking about part two of our empty offense series, dealing with sweep and talking about jet sweep and buck sweep, which are plays that have made up the majority of our offense um, in the sweep series. So basically, our offense in the empty sets is going to consist of three parts. You're going to have motion each way, and we're going to either give the ball or fake a play off of that, or we're going to throw the ball down the field and either horizontal or vertical at the snap. So you got those really three phases. We got a whole series of plays pushing the ball vertical, a whole series of plays pushing the ball lateral, on the screens and the hitches, short throws. And then we got a series of plays that come off of this sweep action. And so originally started as a wing T deal where we ran buck sweep and, the old speed sweep or jet sweep. And then just kind of evolved into what we're going to talk about tonight. So people listening live, feel free to ask questions. If you're listening this back, if you have questions, you watch this, feel free to email me or contact me and I'll answer it. Um, Now, before we get started, we talked about those three parts, and this is part one. But the actual sweep, jet and buck sweep, we're going to spend the whole hour talking about is really the base play of this sweep series and really the base play of the whole offense because not that hard to defend verticals and hitches and screens if you can't do anything else. So it's really important that this play works, and that's why we wanted to take some time to just talk about this today and hopefully answer whatever question you have and show you all the variations of things we can do. The key to making this work, and I think this will really be more clear next time in the third session where we talk about the complements off of this play, but this jet sweep or buck sweep one have to be working so well that they need to cheat to stop. Next time, the key mantra of our talk will be there's no place for getting your ass whipped. So if the defensive end's whipping your tackle, then yeah, we don't have a good place for that. You can watch Twitter all you want. You can read all the stuff you want. There's no plays that work when somebody's getting their butt whooped. So, your job as a coach is to take those plays out and say, how many plays in the game did we mess up? Did we not necessarily just get our butt whipped, but they had too many guys over there, or they cheated and we still called it, or they cheated and we didn't take advantage of something that would have worked? So basically all that talk, which is going to be next time, starts here with you got to make your regular play work. How many people's regular play is inside zone or power or something that they're not even really that good at? That's a problem. I mean, because if you can take away the base play by just playing regular defense, you're probably not going to win the game. And the times we haven't won, somebody's just lined up. We've known where they were. We've attacked in the ways I'm telling you, and they just beat us. And so if the team can play regular defense, they don't have to cheat to stop your base play. Then, from the standpoint of how we're going to talk about the next several series, it's not going to be a good play. So you got to kind of get in that frame of mind going into this. We got that you have to be so good at something. In this case, we're talking about these sweeps, that they have to cheat to stop it. And when they cheat, so for example, they rolled a safety down in the alley, you got to play to throw a touchdown pass off of that. When they cheat by the defensive end doing this, you got to play to read him. That's that if-then part of the wing T or the option stuff that we try to really kind of take advantage of in a different set, in an empty set. So there's two types of sweeps that we run. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but I'm going to make sure we're all understanding what we're talking about. We run jet sweep and buck sweep. Now we run the jet sweep or the buck sweep out of a bunch of different looks, out of a bunch of different backfields, and we're going to talk about that. But basically, a jet sweep is more where we reach the defensive end, and a buck sweep where we're going to block down on the defensive end. And the play in itself, just kind of looking at it from a broader point of view, might look very similar otherwise. It's a great way to stretch the defense. We throw passes off the backside of it. You can probably be as creative as you want to be with the backside pop throws. You can throw screens, hitches, the little vertical pops, however you want to throw it. And we'll show you what we did. You get a bunch of different looks with a simple play call, and you put the backside flow backers in a bind because if they're really turning to run to attack you on the backside, you got a lot of good plays off of that, including throwing the pop. So for purpose of understanding what we did on offense, you need to see this slide as those four words really, Jerry, Jello, Bear, Bull. That's two plays to us, jet right and left, buck right and left. And we're going to talk for the next hour about 208 different ways that we ran those 4 plays. So, and I actually listed them for you in case you're doubting me. This is the jet sweep on the premise. Again, not want to insult anybody's intelligence, but just want to kind of give you an idea of what we were doing. Now, we're not always going to run them out of this formation, but we start in this formation because it's an easy way to teach. You know, we got wings on each side. If we spread them out, we can put them in the backfield. The rules don't change. Quarterback's going to hand it off or throw the pop. We got several different variations of the pop. We'll talk about those as the day goes on. Running backs on the play side, they're going to arc, block the outside backer. They can do it from out wide. They can do it from a wing position, or they can do it from the backfield. And then the backside's going to run. They're going to look to bounce it, bang late. We'll talk about that later. Receivers, play side receivers got a block. Backside receivers got routes. Talk about what those are later. And there's the offensive line, which keep in mind everything you do on offense should be simple for the offensive line. If it's not simple for the offensive line, it's not going to work. So I told you we got 208 ways we ran Jerry and Jello and Bear and Bull. 208. But that's just really 2 signals, right and left, for the O-line. So they're going to do the same things over and over and over again, and some of these other kids have to learn some of the motions, shifts, things like that. This is buck sweep. What's different? Well, the blocking scheme is different. We're blocking down and still pulling the guards, but blocking down, trying to kick out and cut underneath it like typical buck sweep. And we'll get into the details. The pop's the same. The stalk's the same from the receivers. The quarterback really has basically the same exact read. It's the backs that are different. The play side back now is going to block down. The backside back's going to run buck, but he's going to look to bang and then bounce instead of bouncing and bang. Talk about in a minute. Offensive line is where it's really different. And my experience is both these plays don't always work. We started out running the buck sweep. It's all we ran. Probably more people want to talk to me about buck sweep than anything else. But we kind of evolved more into this jet sweep. Probably end up calling it a little more because it's more applicable to everything. And we'll show you why in a few minutes. All right, so I purposely put a few clips in here while I was talking about player notes, just in case somebody's watching this that isn't familiar with what we do or isn't familiar with what I'm talking about, just so you can kind of see a few visuals. Don't worry about the little things as you're watching this. Just kind of see the play. This is the play in action. This is Jello, and it got some play caller notes over here. And the first play caller note is, if it's working, call it again. I mean, come on now. And you got to be able to block the defensive end on this play. So if you're blocking the defensive end, it's good. If you're not blocking the defensive end, it's not good. But most of these clips are probably against odd fronts, not everyone, but this is an even front there. So there's the defensive end, 50-something. We got to be able to reach him. If we think we can, then Jet's a better call. If we don't, Buck's a better call. We got him. We get out there and try to make a play. You don't really have to reach him. You just got to be able to cover him up and move him. If this guy were actually to move him way out here, we could cut underneath it. We're going to see some of those. So what I love about jet sweep in this gun and empty is it can kind of hit a bunch of different ways. So let me show you this while we're trying to understand the play. As we're running this, you can see we send a motion. It wouldn't even offend me if this eventually cut back in here, or if it comes in here and then gets back out, or if it goes all the way out. It really depends on this block right here. Because we got good position on this block, we're just going to run this to the sideline. But a lot of people heard jet sweep and probably think that means we want them all to run to the sideline. And because we're in tight or we're in the backfield and we run a lot of stuff side to side, it's just not really always applicable for our guys to always capture the edge. You got to have a plan on what you're going to do if you don't capture the edge. So this particular one, we capture the edge. Same, we got trips here. Block the end. If you can block the end, that's a good play. You can't block the end. My experience, this is a better odd front than an even front play. Not bad either way. But if you can just on block, on block, pull the guards. And these guys say, Coach, they're reading the guards. What do you do? Well, I mean, you know, so what? They're reading the guards. We got a lot of plays off of that too. But the base plan is the guard's going to pull. We're going to hand this guy the ball, and then we'll see what happens. So, you know, right here, we've blocked on because he slanted in, and we can cut this really anywhere in here, wider, in anything like that. This play is just meant to cover up versus the odd and run the sideline, bang when you have to, and get back outside. Same thing there. We got a back in the backfield. See that one again. We're going to talk about all the particulars of this as we go. I just wanted you to get your mind on a few clips first. Captured there, same way. All right. This is not necessarily the best plays or anything like that. I just grabbed some samples and wanted you to see it. But you got the pop off of that too, which we're not talking about at this moment. So this is buck sweep. Some of the examples of buck sweep. Now this play is a little cleaner, meaning when it looks good, it's beautiful. We block down, we kick out, we run in between. So we block down, we kick out, we run in between. Beautiful. But what happens on the buck sweep is it can be really good or really bad. The jet sweep probably a little more steady and we run it versus everything. So right here, we're trying to block down there, trying to kick this guy out and run in between them right there. That's a good looking play. See the same thing here, block down, kick out. We'll answer some questions right after this, Bo. The same thing there, buck sweep. Just gonna block down, pull the guards, and this time kick them out and try to cut back underneath. So this is the change-ups, motions, shifts. So the same plays. This is jet and buck. We swapped there. We sent motion behind. Same exact play. You guys that are looking for a change-up might want to watch this, be a little more in tune to this one because we, you know, you see here we send a guy motion behind. We do that a lot. You'll see that throughout the day today.
Hey, you may need to check the video. When we got to jet, it's kind of we saw one play of jet and then it's kind of stopped.
You can't see this I'm showing right now?
No, it's still on the Northwest Whitfield game.
Oh.
First jet we looked at.
Dang. That ain't worth a damn. Let me back up here. Because that ain't doing any good. So y'all didn't see but one clip on that whole thing?
Yeah.
Well, dang, next time interrupt. Let's see. Let me start over, screen share. Sorry about that, guys. Y'all see it now? Play?
Yeah, there we go.
You guys already saw all these or no?
Yeah, we saw the jet. I think we need to be buck.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, this.
Can you see this slide? It's starting now.
Yeah.
All right, so let these bucks play. I was just talking earlier. You guys probably wondering what I was talking about. We try to get a down block here, down, 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 kick, and wrap underneath it. Whereas on jet, of course, we're trying to reach. Here's another one to the weak side. We get a down block, kick. Again, we'll get into the little things here in a little bit, but this is, these aren't exactly the best plays we ran of this. I just grabbed a few decent plays to give you an idea of what the play's supposed to look like. So now we got wings on both sides. We're going to block down up top, run, buck, sweep, kick out, wrap, get between it. All right, this is the change-ups, which I think some of you guys will like, because what we're going to do here is we're just running buck sweep again, but we're going to move people. So here we move the H in, or the wings in. We sent this guy in motion, but we're just running buck sweep. Just down, down, kick, hand it off. But sometimes that motion will freeze them, or trading the tight end like that, or the H will freeze them. Same thing there. We sent motion away. Y'all seeing this still? We good?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. Well, same thing. We got motion going one way, just running buck the other. Must have been some of the longer clips. All right, so then the next thing you got is pop passes off of these. So each of those plays should have had a pop off of this. So here we're going to call jet or buck, one or the other, into the boundary here. We got bunch trips up there. The plays, that'd be Green, Jerry, but he can run the pop, which is a little slant route there. We just got a lot of grass. We'll talk about what he reads in a minute. But I wanted you to see what it looked like. What we called that as a running play. Same thing here. We got bunch into the boundary. We'll run the ball into the boundary or throw it to the field. We threw it ice on the grass. Same thing here. We're going to run jet this way, but we throw the pop instead. And, you can see these guys are blocking jet. That time we ran it out of an O set. That's a good looking play if you want to see something kind of unique. That's an O formation, an overset. So I'd be like Brown O's. That guy's ineligible. So we just had him run. Anytime he's ineligible, he just runs a bubble behind the line. And so he's now running the pop. You can kind of This is just our regular black formation with two wings empty. We're going to send this wing in motion, I believe. Run him buck right or jet right. And we just throw the pop to the inside guy. Okay, so that's the generic base of the play. I just wanted to start out the first several minutes with showing you guys some plays and then showing you what we did off of them. And then we're going to get into the technical parts of the play. So for us, this is the play bank basically. So if you can see this, and you all have a copy of this, I put this on here not for you to memorize it or even take a picture of it. Everybody should have access to this on the website. So what I did was you can kind of see, so like for black Jerry, you could run black with R, L, or B, change the backfield, same play. You run zip, trade to Z. The Z start on one side, trade to the other. Be the same play. You can run O, and that's slightly adjusted. So it could be black O Jerry, and that's a little different. You got 6 variations of basically the same play there. The blocking's jet right. That's what the quarterback's rule is. The wing, the Z, whatever. So I did that for every play. Now, those 40 different plays, it's basically it's 12 different jets, 24 right and left, and 16 different bucks, 8 right, because we didn't run the bucks without the wings as much. So, and then all the plays you run off of it, and the total number of that's 208. And I drew those base 40 up like this and kind of wrote, so everybody's got access to this. Again, I don't want you to have to worry about it right now. If you don't see it that well, that's fine. Everybody should have access to this in documents. You should have PDF. You should have something you can download, and it's on the website. So that's those 40 sets. So you have access to all of that. So kind of from a scheme standpoint, which is where we are right now, I wanted it to be what does the play look like? Why do we call it? When do we call it? How do we get a different look? Because I felt like we had to run this play kind of no matter what. We had to run this play. We had to make it work no matter what. So we were going to find different ways to run it. So if a yellow bull wasn't working, we were going to run yellow R bull. If that wasn't working, we were going to go trade yellow bull and trade the tight end into the boundary. Stuff like that. So what questions do we have about that? The specific who does what stuff we're about to talk about. If there's any question about the scheme, Bo, we can go and answer it now. None? Okay. This is probably the better part anyway for that. All right, so let's start with the quarterbacks. What we're going to do is go quarterbacks on these 2 plays, then running backs, and then receivers, and O-line, whatever. Who does what? What's the issues? Whatever. There's a bunch of words on these slides because I tried to give you as much information as possible. I am not about to read all this to you. So I'm going to hit the high points, and I want you to ask a question if you're live. If you're listening to this back, email me a question. Text me a question, something like that if you need one. The quarterback's rule on both plays is the same. So really, if it's Jerry, Jello, Bear, Bull, the quarterback is he's going to read the handoff or throw the pop. What's his read? Well, it's the backside linebacker or the grab. And that's a little ambiguous, I understand, but that's kind of where we were. I mean, if the quarterback's a good player, he's got to have enough sense to know when he can throw the ball. So depends on who your quarterback is, what kind of confidence you have in him. Is he a sophomore? Is he a senior? What is he on whether you give him a little more liberty to, hey, is this guy open? Can we throw the ball? Because sometimes on those routes, he's open, even if the backside backer stands there and does nothing. But technically, the backside backer's the read. So catch the ball, put it in front of him, read the backer. If you're not sure, give the ball. That's always an easy one. But you got to give it if you're not sure. But you can't be scared to throw the pop. I mean, you're kind of missing out on this play if you don't throw those backside routes. If you thought to yourself while you're watching this, well, that's good, but I hate those slants or those little glance routes, and I hate those. Okay, well, run a 5-in, run a bubble, run a hit, run a screen. It doesn't matter. Don't take my way as being the best way on that. It's just how we did it. But I think if you're not throwing something off the back of these sweeps, you're missing the point because it's just stealing. And even if you tell the quarterback not to do it until you're sure, until whatever, it's still something to give those guys something to do. Don't let them just be the backside doing nothing. The quarterback can always read the grass. Like I said, he must get the ball up and out as fast as possible because remember, these guards are pulling. You can get some weird launch angles there. You got to put the ball in front of the pop run. The worst thing that can happen is the ball hitting the backhand and popping up in the air for interception. So low is always better than high, and in front's better than behind them. Generally speaking, I guess there's exception to that rule, but there's not many exceptions to low being better than high on missing. So if you're going to throw these, we want to throw them in practice with somebody like holding up a hand shield or holding up a half round or something give them some different throwing lanes in practice, make it hard for them to throw those pops. Because once they kind of get used to those angles, that's where Mahomes and some of these guys are so good. They're so used to throwing at all these different angles. And it just makes football so much easier to call when you don't have to block for the play you're calling. You block buck and you're throwing some kind of concept. That's basically stealing if your quarterback can do it. In his ability to run the offense, he's got to understand who to send in motion. He's got to time up the motion. The quarterback doesn't – we're not going to talk as much about the quarterback today as we will in many of the other plays. This is going to be more about the running backs probably in the line. But the quarterback has got to make this go by understanding how to run the offense. They got to be the one to send the right guys in motion, to understand the different kind of trade or shift or motion we're doing. And they got to time out that handoff right, because if they're sitting there waiting, holding the ball, the reads don't time out right. If they're snapping it too early, if they're snapping it too late, none of that's going to be helpful. So how do we fix that? We just did a million of them. You just got to do a lot of them. What questions we got about the quarterbacks, bro?
Just one. Did we control run or pass? Like did we have a call when he could read it versus did we lock it in where he had to give it, or how do we handle that situation?
Great question. So here's what the answer to the question is: no, we did not control it. Every time we called Jerry, he could hand it right or throw left. Every time we called Bull, he could hand it left or throw right. Now, there had to be some common sense come into play. So I may have, kind of looked at him and pointed or done something to let him know, hey, we need to give it here. And there's times where he gave it and I came silent and said, look, if I call this play again and this looks like this, throw him the ball. You're missing the read. I'll tell you something I started doing that was helpful on this, Coach Phillips, because I know exactly what you're asking. It's 3rd and 2, and you want to run this play, but you don't want the quarterback throwing incompletion. We would put a formation out there that didn't have a backside. So say, for example, if it was, let's see, I'm going to share a whiteboard here. I'm going to try this out. I'm sure I can't really draw with this thing, but I'm going to try. So if we go here and here and here, and here's some good drawings here. And this would be red for us. We got a tight end here, 2 wings. We're just like brown and black, but we got a tight end in the game. So there's a Z over there. So if we said red and we ran, buck this way, then he could throw the pop that way. What we would do is just run red, O, and run buck. And now there's nobody over there to throw to. So that would be an automatic give. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that would be an automatic give because there's nobody to throw the pop to in that case. So if we just wanted to run it out of the regular formation and just didn't want him to give it, I'd probably just holler at him and point, tell him something that we had talked about before. Because we did have conversations with the quarterback on being smart and understanding when it was 4th and inches. And we just thought buck sweep was a good play, or if it's 2nd and 3 or something like that. But I totally get. I have asked myself that exact question when we were kind of learning some of this stuff. Y'all can't see my screen, can you? I didn't share it.
No.
I was just going. All right, so you can see it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the pops that we threw. Now, you say, could we change it? Well, sure. Guys, everything is negotiable. If we had a really good this or that and we needed to tweak something, I'd be all about tweaking it, okay? But the base plan was if they were by themselves, they were going to run this little glance route or slant, basically adjust based on the grass and defenders, meaning if the ball was on one hash and there was a ton of grass out here, he might shorten this route. If the safety's more over here, he might have to skinny up that route. So, we just tried to have so few plays that we were ready for basically whatever they did. If we got 2 receivers, the outside guy could run the same route, and the inside guy should really – the real rule there is run to a point right behind the inside backer. That's kind of when this stuff first originated. That's what we did. But I didn't get too technical with that either, because he's got to avoid the third level defenders who are going to kill him. This guy's the read, but this guy's will take his head off. So he may need to run this thing here, or maybe in here and a little more straight. However, or maybe you can get across if the guy moves over. He's got to get behind the backers and be ready. If we ran a bunch set on the backside, so it was like green, bunch right, but we ran jet left, then we were going to come underneath with this. And I don't want that to look like pass interference. That guy's running a route right there. And then this guy's coming underneath him. And we're trying to hit the pop right there. That was a decent play for us, too, when we got that look. It's usually open. The quarterback can't always see it, don't always hit it. That's one of them, like Coach is saying, you may have to kind of give him the heads up. But that bunch is usually open. Notes to understand on the pop passes: if it's unsure, always give it. If there's no spread wide receiver, you got to hand off the sweep, which is actually just what I was telling Coach Phillips, that if there's nobody on the backside, then obviously you can't throw it to the invisible man, so you got to hand it off. No read on those plays. Any other quarterback questions before we go on these running backs? All right. The running backs probably have the most to talk about today because these plays are for them. Now, let me make sure everybody understands this. If you're listening to this and you're kind of trying to pick up some things for your team, I don't think that this is running jet and buck is the play we necessarily had to call the most. I said we needed this to work to make the other plays work. We had years where we called power read the most, or we called key pass the most, or we called some kind of other. I mean, we didn't always call these plays the most. We just needed to be good at it to make all the other stuff look like something. If they weren't worried about these plays, all that other stuff didn't look good. But if you got a really good running quarterback, I mean, you don't want to call this over and over again. He's not running. If you got a guy that can throw the ball down the field, you want to call some stuff where he can throw the ball down the field. These are plays that the running backs can be decent at it. And we had some really good backs and we had some really average ones. And in both cases, they can run these plays. So I'll be curious what questions people have about this, because I think this is something that the running backs are the ones that if you can make this go with the backs, it'll be a decent play. It's not the linemen as much as the backs on this. The linemen will have angles. So the running backs have to understand in the whole offense if they're play side or backside. They're on the play side on the sweep series, then obviously they're blocking. I mean, if they're on the right and we're running right, and they're blocking. If they're on the backside, then they're running. They're getting the football. So is it buck or jet? Because on buck, we're going to block the line outside back. I mean, on jet, we're going to block the outside backer. On buck, we're going to block down. On jet, we really want to bounce it wide if we can and bang if we have to. On buck, we really want to bang it if we can and bounce if we have to. So there's some slight differences that come up that the kids do need to understand. And this is one of the times you try to make it simple as we can, but they had to understand the difference, obviously in the block, but even on how to run it. So this is a slide more for information. I'm going to skip it. Everybody's got access to this whole PowerPoint. Look through it. Ask me questions if you want. The first thing up here that says block linebacker wingbacks, if they're at a wing and we call jet, so this is going to be about jet, we're going to arc the linebacker. Always got the outside backer. What if he lines up there? 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 You got him. The first guy outside this tackle, you got him. They got a 5 technique, that's all right. The next guy. Anything that's not covering the tackle, you got it. This is a normal alignment. We saw this 70% of the time if we're in a wing, maybe more. You're going to get them right there outside of you. You got to run right at them. You get a really tight alignment where they're a little bit tighter, even better. Easy to hook them. Run right at them. The key for this is to attack. Don't sit and take them. Don't sit there and try to position block them. Attack. Great get off. Push off your back leg. Talk to them about false stepping and really push off that leg and capture that edge. If you get a real wide alignment, like the guy's way out here, then you would run right at them and just kick them out. Just let them have it. And the ball carrier's got to get inside and get back out. And we'll practice that. But that's what you're going to see as a wingback. Basically, with years of film, the plays only have those two things. The only thing that I guess could happen that's not up there for a wing is this outside backer could be a little deep. He doesn't have to be on the line of scrimmage. You know, we saw him back here sometimes, but to me that was even easier. So we didn't even talk about that. As a running back, going this order. So now you're in the backfield, and we call Jerry. You got to block that same guy, but you got to do it from the backfield. That's actually harder. If he's back there, it's not as hard. If he's back there, you just got to not whiff. You got to attack him, run right at him, try to run right through him. I know everybody talks about capturing their outside and all, but sometimes in these differences, these big gaps, you really just want to run right at them and push them one way or the other. You can't whiff. It's great if you can hook them and then position block them, or we can capture the edge and all that. But what we found is if they'll just cover them up, we're going to get yards. This play is all about covering defenders up, not getting thumped back. If this guy walks up on the line, or he comes hard, like on the snap, he just is gone. Now it's just going to be a damn collision, and you have to practice for that. So these are the scenarios that our running back coach would be working in individual when they worked on their arc blocking. We'd put a guy back here, put him here, let him kind of hang, and we just go position him, try not to whiff, run right at him. Then next time, send him, walk him up and bring him, and we got to just go get him. You got to take it on. And then, of course, if he's up on the line, you just assume right now he's coming, and you got to go get him. And that's a tougher block. But why did we put the back in the backfield? If you really keep catching on by now, you understand this. Why did we put the back in the backfield? We put the back in the backfield because the offense or the defense thinks we're running the ball this away, left. You understand? They think when we put the guy in the backfield, we're going to run sweep left. Well, now we're running sweep right. So ideally, this guy's further back and kind of hanging, and we can capture and go, which happens a lot. What if we get him out at a receiver? What if it's Frank or Phil or Rifle or Lightning, which put the wingbacks out wide, and we go Rifle, Jerry, or Frank, Jerry. Now we got to block the same guy out here at receiver, but we're a receiver. So what if he's out there? You got a position stalking. He's your guy. Find the same guy you would have blocked, find him. If he comes up on the line immediately, can't get him. Can't get him. And that's just bad coaching. That's one of them plays you're like, well, that's not good. So what would we do? We'll get the game plan in another session, but we would tell him either to slow down, stop the quarterback, and move in here to a wing position, or we would just call formations that started with colors, red, blue, brown, black, green, gold. All of those have guys in this position that take this. So when I call Frank or Phil, if I called a formation that got the wings out here, I was pretty confident this wasn't going to happen. That's why we got in that formation and ran that play, because I was pretty confident that wasn't going to happen. But if you get this guy playing out wide and coming underneath you like this hard on motion, you got to run the play. I mean, there's plenty of good plays to that, but it ain't these. It's not handing it off to the guy. You got to run the play action off of that. You got to run the counters off of that, or you got to adjust the wing in here, and he's got to block that guy so you can run the play. Does anybody have a question about any of that before I go to the next thing? Okay. Now on Buck, so same thing. We're running Buck right, and it's the right wingback. They got to block the defensive end if there's no tight end. That's the easy one. They don't really have it. They block down, but they got to block the D end if there's no tight end. Whether he's a 4, I guess if he was a 4-eye, you might not would block him, but we don't see a lot of 4-eyes. But if he was, I guess this has got a tight end at it. But if there was no tight end here, he would be a 4 or 5 technique. You'd have to block him. If there's a tight end, these two got these two. So here in this case, if that defensive end hangs, wing blocks him, tight end goes here. The defensive end pinches, tight end blocks him, wing comes off his butt, gets the linebacker. So they just got to have a great get off, push off line of scrimmage, run through them. You say, Coach, how are we going to ask these sorry little running backs to block this big D end? Well, they just got to get in his way, and they just can't stand there like a big sissy. They got to run straight through him with a great get off and know that we're not going to call it that often for him. This guy's probably pinching. He's probably hanging. That's why we need to do it. Just get out here wide, crash down on him, and we'll get around there as fast as we can so you don't have to block him for long. But the great get off will help. All right. So the guys that are the ball carriers. The ball carriers here on jet and buck are going to take it slightly different paths. If it's jet, we want to bounce the play. We want to run it wide. And then we'll cut back if we have to. And we'll watch a few clips in a few minutes of some of this. If it's buck, we really want to sell the flank, but then cut back and catch the guard. Attack the edge, sell the flank, catch the guard. You know, this slide you could talk a lot about with a lot of film. I'm trying to be cognizant of everybody's time and not make this last 100 hours. But the key for the guy getting the football is cross the quarterback, get the football, get your eyes out on the flank. And if it's jet, you're really looking at that tackle, tight end, wing complex. And if you can outrun them, you just go. If you see where you can outrun them, you bang and then try to get back outside. Or if you can't get back outside, you bang and keep banging back till you keep cutting back. Say, dang, that sounds like a lot. You just got to rep all them different scenarios. You got to do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. On buck, it's a little simpler, actually. It doesn't get as muddled as the jet does. On buck, it's real simple. When you get the ball, you sell the flank, attack the edge. The play side guard is going to kick. You're going to cut underneath it and catch the backside guard. Or he's going to be low. We're going to have to he's going to kind of wrong arm us, and now we're going to have to bounce. There's no hole there to cut. We're going to have to bounce. And that usually is not a great play to be in. That's why the jet was a more effective play, because we ran it out of every formation. And any form, we didn't need a tight end. We didn't have to have a wing on the line. We didn't have to have all that stuff you have to have to run buck. And we could get a decent play out of everything. So what we saw in the last few years was jet would have an efficiency rating of higher plays than buck. So jet might have been efficient 74% of the time and buck 69 or 71 or something like that. But the bucks were really pretty. And when the bucks worked, they were great. The jets were a lot of 5-yard gains, 7-yard gains, because we're not really getting these long rips. We got a few, but it was more about covering people up, and we always had a hole. So we very rarely got hit the line. We very rarely lost yardage or only gained 1 or 2. But if that guard, if that guard gets taken on pretty quickly and there's no hole to cut, you have to bounce. Probably only about a third of the plays you bounce are going to be efficient plays. Whereas the plays you bang, 90% of them are going to be efficient plays, honestly, if you get the right block. Does anybody have a question about the backs? I'm going to show some film at the end of this. Somebody, no question. All right, the receivers. If you have the receivers, same thing on jet and buck, play side or backside. So the backs and the receivers both have to understand, am I play side or backside? Play side's going to block. So if they're a running back, play side's going to block. It's buck down, it's jet arc. If they're a receiver, they're going to stalk. I'm going to talk about that. If they're on the backside, they're actually the guys that might get the football. The backside guys are going to run the ball if they're running backs, or they're going to catch the ball if they're receivers. So if we're running Jerry, the left side receivers, the left side running backs, they're the ones feeling good about themselves. All right, so if we got a single receiver on the play side, always want to stalk or run off. This may sound simple, but guys, if you don't do this, you need to put it in. Because I'm telling you, at least a third of the plays in the season, we don't have to block anybody. In some games, it's the whole game. If that cornerback is looking at you, just run him off. Don't even touch him. Just kind of give him one of these and run him off. It worked. Guys will go with you. If they're looking in at the quarterback, which the better teams will do, then you got to stalk them. And then, of course, you get into your stalk progression. Everybody teaches stalk blocking if you're listening to this, so I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I will say that I think it's good to hook them or stretch them. I don't think you have to do one or the other. Again, the backs can cut off of that. I think it's important to teach kids how to lose block. And see what I mean? Hear what I mean by this. I don't know, and people all over the country have signed up for this, so I don't know everybody's rules or everybody's tendencies in their state. But in the state of Georgia, I see more holding penalties on the perimeter than I see in the box. It's not like college and NFL where offensive linemen are getting hold. We see a few of those too. But I see more holds on wide run or screens where it's because the referees can see it so well. And so you got to teach those receivers on your stalk progression. If they're losing a guy, they got to kind of dip and rip and not keep grabbing. If they're grabbing cloth and they get their hands out here, the ref's going to call that 100 out of 100 times. And a lot of times the ball carrier will be past them. It won't even matter to the play. And you're coming all the way back. I mean, that for me, those were some of the most frustrating penalties. Not the stupid penalties. It was really those where you felt like it didn't matter. So we talked to our guys about no reason to hold on the perimeter, like shield them, try to get in their way. And I didn't like them grabbing, to be honest, at all, even in tight. I know sometimes people get them in tight grabbing. I didn't like that. I just wanted to mirror them, make them pick a side, push them maybe. And then if you lose them, just kind of dip and rip, shield them, let them go. If they make the tackle, they make the tackle. But, guys, it's better for them to make the tackle at 3, 4, 5-yard gain than it is to go back 10. So we actually talked to them about that. And I thought it was helpful at times, to be honest. If you get multiple receivers, so you got twins or trips, you got to find the most dangerous man in twins. And trips you can get in here. Most of the time we got to look similar to this, to be honest. Everybody's covered. Or the safety was right there low enough that he had to count. But these are some different looks you could get to trips. And you could figure it out on who blocks who. Again, you guys have this, access to all this, so you can look at that if you want. I thought our bunch blocking was really good. And as you guys seen from the clips, we got in bunch a decent amount. And so it was important to have some calls that we knew how to handle the bunch blocking. So for us, if we got buck sweep, we were going to make a G call. If we got jet sweep, we're going to make an us call. You say, what's the call? The call was who blocks the outside linebacker. The most dangerous person on sweep is the outside linebacker. On buck sweep, the guard blocks the outside linebacker. So we made a G call. Which means we got it here. We said GG, mean leave him alone. The guard's going to block him. Now instead of messing with him, which we do a lot on other plays, the Y can get down to either the backer or the safety, whichever one's more dangerous. He gets that. The Z can get out on the corner, and we got a down block right there. Regular buck sweep, got to have a down block. We got a jet sweep call. We can make an us call. We could either block it where both of these guys took him and the Z took the corner, but we could also do it where the Z and the Y took him and the wing took the corner. We kind of did it both ways. Doesn't matter, but we could actually double team this guy in bunch and combo up. So if we both attacked him and he shifted more this way, then this guy could go on up and get the backer to safety. If he kind of hit inside and the wing took over, then the Y could get the backer safety. How did we do it? We just worked that over and over and over and over again. So all these little diagrams were the things that we took to individual and said, we got to work this. What can happen in these sets. On the back side of the receivers. So the front side, they were stalking in some capacity, one receiver, multiple receivers, or bunch. And now on the back side, they're going to run routes. Now, I've already showed you the routes from the quarterback, but let's look at it from a receiver's point of view. They got an outside glance. How you going to run an outside glance? We're going to push 3 steps vertical and get across the field at whatever angle avoids third-level defenders and gives us the grass and positions our body to catch the football. And I think that's how I want to teach you guys, because I want y'all to take that and then use it however it applies to your. So if you got a more technical way to do it, perfect. Do it that way. But you got to but what you're doing is the same thing I just said. You're going to avoid third-level defenders. You're going to put your body in a position where you can catch football. Get press coverage, fast arms, fast feet, stem them outside, stick back inside, create separation. After catching the ball, get vertical. That's true whether you got press coverage or not. On inside pop, so now we're here. This guy. He's going to run inside pop. Same thing. If he gets press coverage, he can stem outside, get back in. But we talked about him getting to a point right behind the backers, finding grass. And see, that safety's a problem, because if he moves over and then comes back on the pass, he can get there. So if he can catch the ball in there and get vertical, that could be a good crease for you. Bunch, same way. The Z goes under and avoids the third-level defender. So if there's a safety sitting right there, he's got to go more there. If the safety's in the middle of the field, he can stay more vertical. But they got to know their route. And their route, the backside route's determined on how many people are over here. That's all it is. So we're running sweep right. I'm on the left. I just look around. Am I by myself? Is there two of us? Are we in bunch? That's all it can be. 208 combinations is still always one of them three things. And so you're looking at 208 different sweeps, but for our kids, it was one of them three things. We might have shifted to it, might have motioned to it, whatever. Anybody have a question about the wideouts? All right, O-line. Now, I'm doing the O-line last, not because they're least important. Probably doing them last because they're most important. But I just start with quarterbacks and went down. For Jet, not earth-shattering here. We're going to reach at tackle. We're going to reach at guard if he's covered. If he's uncovered, he's going to pull. The center's going to block on or away, which is a little different maybe than some people would do it because I'll show you our even front stuff in a second. And the backside guard's going to wrap no matter what. The backside tackle's going to hinge no matter what. And if the tight end's in on either side, he's reaching his area. So here's basically the three looks we get on the fronts, okay? Now, we might have two backers here instead of one, but we're going to have basically a 3 and a shade and a 3 are odd. I guess we could have 2 twos also, but 2 twos wouldn't be any different than the 3 and a shade on who blocks who. So this right tackle, because these plays are all going right, but obviously we could run the opposite. The right tackle has to reach this 5-10. Not ideal, but he's got to. It's a little easier there versus odd because that guy may be pinching. So that's why this is a great odd play. Cover him up. Easy to cover up versus odd. But the tackle's got he's got a tough block, easy assignment. He knows who he's got. He's got the D in all 3 times. The guard starts out pulling. He's going to pull, he's going to pull. If somebody threatens his area, inside or outside, covered inside or covered outside, he's got a blocker. And that is maybe something we did that was unique because remember, we're not always trying to run this thing to the sideline if we don't have to. We want to, but if we can't, then we'll just call it anyway. So if we get a 3 technique, we're going to block on, reach. If we get a shade, really, or especially a 2-eye or something, we may just block down on him. We'll just cover him up. If he's covered, he just goes on and blocks. He's pulling when he's uncovered. So what if he's uncovered and this guy walks up late? Then he blocks. He doesn't pull. So that, Sam Wigginton, Chad Flatt, Ty Maxwell, all 3 of them coach line with me. And basically this is their deal. I can't take any credit for it. But we had very little issues using that rule with our play side guard. Meaning people want to get the run-throughs. They want to get out here and have a 3, or they want to get in an odd so you think you'll call it and then walk late and go. We had no issues with that once we practiced those scenarios with that guard. Now, the center blocks on. He blocks area. But in this case, he's blocking back, kind of like buck sweep, which maybe some teams thinking this is more of a stretch. If you think jet means stretch, that might be another play. To us, it wasn't necessarily stretch. We're trying to cover people up and get in the alley. So think of right here. You see my cursor, Bo? Can y'all see my cursor? Okay. So we may hand the wingback the ball. Say this guy's pretty good and he's whipping us. So he's whipping us. We're having to push him out wide. We cover up there and get the guard in one of these holes. We can just get behind him and get yards. That's a great play. The key is covering these people up. There's nothing wrong with full stretch either, by the way. I love full stretch. I love zone. But that's not exactly what we ran here. That's what I'm trying to say. We just wanted the center to cover up the most dangerous man in his area. Now, the backside was the same every time. So we got a pull wrap and a hinge, a pull wrap and a hinge, a pull wrap and a hinge every time. So that's what we were trying to do on jet. Buck, we didn't have as many if-thens. Kind of is what it was. I'm going to block down, pull kick, block on or back, pull wrap, hinge. And that's going to be the same for whatever. The only things that are kind of unique there are if the tackle really needs to block down all the way to the center. So If he gets a shade, he really should come flat all the way down. Now, that's a really hard block. But if he understands he's got to make it, he can choke and split down and go. But we didn't really have a lot of success. If we were just going to block on with the guard there, we just called jet. There was no reason to call buck. If sometimes I wanted to call buck because I knew we could block down on this guy. I knew we had him. I know we could kick and run in here. So all we had to do was just not get whipped right there by that shade. So if the tackle could get real flat, we just taught him to get real flat and just get a piece of him. Remember, we're in the gun, we could get past him and go. If he's a 3, then it's a little easier. And, of course, it's odd, then the tackle's getting all the way down here. Some of the keys we learned on the buck sweep in the gun, great get-offs, don't slow down, and don't chase people toward the play. So this right tackle should grip underneath and run this way. If this guy's coming, he should cover him up. If he chases, instead of chasing him that way, which you may even see some out on the film because we had kids do it, we wanted him to keep running back to this. Oh, sorry, but what did I do? We wanted him to keep going back to this backside back. Because if this guy chased and he chased with him, all he's going to do is watch him make the tackle. Let the rep try to get him and make sure this guy doesn't make the tackle. You know, keep running your tracks and keep running your feet to the whistle. Those were big plays on bucks. Stay up. We didn't like guys on the ground in the gun. Doesn't do any good to be on the ground. You're actually in the way. Great get off. Stay on your tracks. Run your feet to the whistle. Stay up. Because by on the ground, they actually made it less running. We don't always know where the play's going to hit. This is jet and buck. We don't always know exactly where the play's going to hit like you did a little more under center. Anybody have any questions about that, Bo? All right, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out of this for a second. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I talked about every position, and I showed a million different variations of it. If I'm going to turn on this film, and I'm just going to watch some and talk about it, and Bo, you interrupt me and ask me any questions anybody has. And as you guys have seen enough, you can just leave if you want. You know, I mean, it doesn't offend me. We're at an hour now, but if anybody has more questions or wants to see some film, I'll show them some film. But that's all I had that was new content. Does that make sense? But I put this film at the end so we could watch it. So if it's just me and you, Bo, you can tell me that too. But so these are some jet clips that that I just kind of picked. You know, I picked efficient plays from the last couple of years. Some of these are really, really good plays. Some of them are average, but they got yards. This is a gold O jello. So we got gold with the receiver over here. We get an us call there. See, we get an us call. We double this guy. We got out. We got all the way around.
Coach, you need to share the screen again.
You guys share. You got to reshare.
Dang. Sorry, guys. I'm normally better than this. What did I do? I'm going to have to edit this thing. There. I can't get out of the. All right. Sorry about that.
We still don't have it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just now doing it. You got it now? I was stuck in the PowerPoint. Couldn't get out.
Yeah, there
you got it now? Yeah. All right. All right. So this is gold O jello. So we got bunch trips here, over, run jet. We're going to get a double team right here, whip that guy, double team, got out. He just got all the way around there, and of course this kid was good. He just made a play after that. If we can find a back cover. All right. This one ain't real good. This team, we'll just let that one run. We didn't have to block anybody. No offense. All right. So this is what I love. I want to show this one on purpose. So it's even front, playing off. We called this. I thought we were going to throw the pop. We called Jello here. We're sending him in motion, going this way. We got the edge here. If we block him there, we got to reach this DN who's a 5. But if we could, it was going to be a good play, or we could throw the pop up there. So I like this play call. We hard counted them like you can see, and then I called it because they rolled the safety this way. This was a better call. We send motion. But see, what happened was the DN got way out there. This is what I like about this play. We got him covered up. We got him covered up. We got it covered up. We got this guy coming in the alley. We just cut inside the DN. He got so wide, the tackle took him out. We cut inside the DN, got some yard. You can probably see that better on the back. Yeah, so he was a little wider than maybe I thought when I called the play, to be honest, because I'm on the sideline. But we made it right because we practiced that scenario. So see, this guard's covered, so he's not pulling. This guard's covered, so he's not pulling. He's just blocking on. We cut in and go. All right. This time we got the formation into the boundary. This will be like Phil, Jerry, and this guy's cheat down because I think we had an issue earlier in the game with this guy coming in, but he wasn't here. So that was an easy one. He just slipped in. Somebody have a question, Bo?
Yeah. Just how do we deal with teams that like blitz with the motion, like send the blitz based on the motion?
We do the complement plays off of it. If they send a blitz on the motion and we're in this formation, like if this guy's widened out and on the motion, this guy went, that would be a problem. What we would do is 2 things. One, we would put him in a wing back alignment, tighter. Let me see if I can find a back copy of this. Okay, so like if 55 just blitzed, is what he's saying, or whoever. We would put him right there, like it'd be Brown instead of Frank. That'd be step A, so there's no hole. Let them blitz. What if they blitz the inside backer? What if they blitz whatever? Those are all where you got to have your complementary plays. I wasn't that worried about the inside backer blitzes because we could capture usually the inside backer blitzes were great for us. Outside backer blitzes were a problem if the guy came late and went right there. But we had to either one, we put him in a wing alignment, put him in the backfield, something like that helped that. Or we just do play action. Like actually sometimes we gave them that. Good for them. They rolled in there, we threw play action. Sometimes these jet sweep games 7-8 yards, the Viper and carry stuff was like 40-50 yards. So we were cool with that. I mean, that's kind of where you were. Sometimes but that's a great question because that is something that is a problem with sending that guy in motion. Did that answer the question? I can't see what they wrote.
Yeah, he covered it.
So see what we got here? We covered up. We're reaching. We're just pulling one guard. We're running at him. We're just trying to find a hole. See, and right here, if this guy was way out here, say this guy was out here, then we might cut this thing back here. See? That's what I like about this play. We kind of could run this thing to the sideline like a traditional jet sweep, or we could run it right here in the middle, which is kind of where we do, or we could cut it back here. The key is just getting the kids to go hard. Just getting them to have great get-offs, run their feet to the whistle. This is the tight end. No, not tight end. This is H. This is black or jello. We got an odd front there. We're just going to capture out there. We got inside of the wing. I don't think we got a back copy of this play for some reason. I like this play because if you watch the wingbacks block here, he has to kick him out, and then the running back has to cut inside of him, and we still get yards. And that's the key, is just not letting it disrupt the play. Same thing there, really. Just pulling one guard, that on them.
Coach, was that a false pull?
No, it was probably just a bad hand.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a key read.
Oh yeah, it was just
Oh,
just
yeah.
that was just probably somebody doing it. I would love to tell you we were trying to mess with them, but I don't think that was. I think that's just a kid messing up. This one I think was on the film earlier, but we captured. Get an inside backer blitz here. No, got a safety rolling hard. This is empty to the trips. That's a great play too. That's a great example of what we're talking about now. This lineman was pretty good, but you watch our left tackle here get out there and just keep running his feet. This is a great job of just widening him out as wide as he'll go, and then we cut underneath him. I've seen so many teams get stopped by one block. So, we can't reach this guy, coach. Well, he's way out there. We got to cover him up and cut back. And then it turns into buck sweep. So we got a tight end in here. This will be a rifle set. We got tight end right with the wings wide, rifle, jello. But this time we got him. So that's actually in the same game, I believe. But this time we got him wide enough. He cheated down so he could get him. And now we got out there wide enough we could run wide. So back-to-back plays you see against the same team. One time we wanted to bang it. One time we wanted to bounce it. They got to always be ready to bounce this thing wide. Because like you see, from play to play, you never know. All right. This is double wing. It's be like black, yellow. Odd, so he should be blocking on, pulling the guards, ripping him. That guy was really good. This is a really good team we're playing here. I think they were undefeated this year in the regular season, a couple years ago. Bunch. I think we saw this one already in the earlier clip. Bunch, jet left.
I got one question. Did we ever have the quarterback pull on jet?
No, because we had all the other plays off of it, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday, like power read and all the jet read and counter read. I mean, if you saw us play, our quarterbacks weren't best players, so we had the quarterback pull a lot, but not off of this play. Now, I'll tell you what I did like. Let me see if I can rewind and find a back copy here. I did see some people doing some stuff with their backside tackle that I really like. Like if they were running jet or buck this way, they would take him and reach around and leave him alone and let him be a read for a run and let him be a lead blocker instead of hinging him, which we just kind of hinge him and his block doesn't matter as much. They bring him in motion, let him go out here and block him, and then if he pinches, the quarterback can keep it. That's a fantastic tag to this if it's something you're into. We didn't do that because, like I said, most of our plays, because you're an empty, the quarterback has to be a good runner, has to be a decent at least runner inside and stuff. So we had so many things for the quarterback that I didn't worry too much about this being one of them. This is a different play. It looks like the same play we saw earlier, but where we captured the edge. It may have been similar time part of the game, but all right. So this will be Brown to the field, Jello. See, and we were kind of right either way here. I might would even told him he should have thrown the pop here. You put these formations put some people in a bind, guys. I'm not saying that it's this magical offense or I know more than anybody, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot stop this sweep. Play it without doing it kind of like they're doing it and committing 6 or 7 guys to it. and play these receivers any differently than they're playing them. See, they're trying to play inside for the pop. I guess that's why he's so far inside. We got to have some other stuff out there. But there's just a lot of grass out here if you're going to commit outside backers to being on the line. But if they didn't commit their outside backers to being on the line, we usually ran the sweep pretty good on them. So put some people in a bind there. That's a great job by that ref. This was a set where we made that us call out of the bunt, but we did it with the Z. So because he's in the backfield, this would be gold, B, jello. So the bunch is actually here, but he's in the backfield because we call B. So they're both going to block the outside backer and let him go get the corner because that's more natural with him in the backfield. We get a double team. We get the corner. That's a good-looking play. Well, we didn't even get the corner. Still. Same thing here. We got bunch right. Dang, did I get the wrong play? All right, so this is bunch right, jet left. I think I just put that one in there because it was just a muddled mess. That was just a horrible.
You can see the backside pop coming wide open like you talked about earlier on.
Yeah, and now we missed it. See right there. Yeah, let's watch that one. So this is what this should look like. He should come underneath for the pop, and the quarterback's probably scared to throw it because of these guys, but they disappear, I think. Well, he's, you know. They seem to keep running. Keep running. All right, this is another one where we're just running jet left. See, because we get in this set, and this is something to understand about our offense, what we were doing. If we were in this formation right here, it was probably more likely than not that we were going to send him in motion to just run jet or plays off of jet this way. Because I like getting evens, make y'all defensive coaches run your even defense. So in this case, straight 50, right? 3-2, 4 cross. And then we're going to make you play our wing T type stuff. So we're going to send this guy in motion. This is just Frank R. So it's Frank R. But because of that, we send him in motion and we got one of our best players running the jet or plays or our quarterback keeping it or whatever, or throwing the vertical off of it. But we also could just hand it off this way. That's where the double wing really helped us. Like having this guy's another running back, and that's our back. We could run jet right or jet left, and kind of give you some of the things you got under center. And you can see we kind of captured them there because the line was slanting the other way. The backer went – we just kind of had them on this. See, these backers are shaded here, and we're coming back the other way. You kind of got them there.
They want to know, do we ever run the pop to the play side?
We could. Yeah, we did. We had a play. We called that. We had a play that we ran that off of, but I didn't call it very much. And I don't probably have a good enough sample to say if it was good or not. So whoever asked that question probably knows more about it than I do. I'd have to ask them. But I like the split field kind of playing one side and the other. But I did see some good people doing some good stuff on the play side. I feel like sometimes maybe when we tried to run it, the kids, the routes kind of messed up with the blocking out there. It'd be like the one time we needed to bounce or something. And kids out there running a dig or a slant or something. But, yes, we did have a play. We called it Jeep when they flipped the read. It'll be there. You throw in some traffic, but it'll be there. Hard count them there. So they're trying to bring inside pressure. Inside pressure is great versus these sweeps. Bring it on. Look at that inside pressure, getting caught up in the wash. That's great. Now, they'll get you every now and then, just like anything else. They'll get you every now and then. I would equate inside pressure to something like defensive coaches being scared of 4 verticals. Y'all know defensive coaches scared of 4 verticals, make the whole defensive plan worried about 4 verticals, and they ain't going to run but one of them a game. And they'd be better off just let that play score a touchdown give up 7, and then beat everything else, but they can't do it. That's kind of how some of these inside pressures got to be for you if you're calling this. They're going to get you every now and then by just walking that guy up and sending him. But most of the time, they're really not. So don't just be really good at executing your stuff. Don't worry too much about that. It's a good-looking little play right there. Captured on them out in the fog. You got any more questions, Bo? I see numbers popping up, but I can't tell if they're the old ones or the new ones.
Nah. Yeah.
Might go with this. I don't know what else is coming up. These have all been jet. Just tagged a bunch of decent ones. Some of them. Now, if you're watching this and you think we play a bunch of sorry teams that don't know how to play this, I think you'll feel differently if you watch next time. Because some of the time, the reason why this is working is they're worried about the verticals. They're worried about the play action off of this. They're worried about the runs off of this, the read plays. They're worried about some of that stuff. And that's why it worked. I'm going to go to the next one. You've seen about all these when you see. All right, now these are buck sweeps. Dadgummit. Can y'all still see me? I'm starting it over, I guess.
Yeah.
These are buck sweeps. So what's different? Blocking scheme's a little different. Running back's trying to bang it. This is a play that's going to look really, really good or very average based on if we get a good down block and a good kick. So we're running buck sweep here left, tight ends right. It's be red bull. We got a down block. We got a kick. So there's a hole in there. Get some yards. Now we already saw this one. This was in that other clip I showed. You see we get a down block, we got a kick. Even the wrap there locked on pretty good. There's inside pressure. No problem.
We got a question. Just how do we block like a cloud corner? Like if a corner's got a hard inside alignment.
On buck and jet.
Yeah.
Well, if he's way in tight and he's coming, then we'd probably just have to kick him with the with the guard pulling out in the alley. I don't think the receiver would be able to block him. Or we make it switch off. If they were bringing that guy and the outside backer was back, then the wing back could go out to him and the receiver could go to the backer, crack him. But we didn't see that much because it's all the play action stuff. I can remember one time seeing something like that. If you see a lot of these clips, we don't run it to the sideline as much. So if you can get into bunch, another good set for that would be get into bunch, get into the wing sets where they may not be able to do that as much. Like in bunch, they probably can't do that as much, or at least without getting inside of you. So again, keep in mind for us, for me anyway, I'm not saying my way was right, but for me, I was always going to think of a new formation or a shift or something before I thought about abandoning the plays. So I would probably focus on that. But if you lined up in a traditional formation, they shot the corner, they played corner hard, and they shot him in on motion, yeah, sure, we'd have a problem with that. We'd have to throw the play action off of that, or we'd have to send the guard or the wingback, whichever one, depending on what the other was doing, out to him and block their person with the other. I hope that made sense. Makes sense in my head.
Yeah, and he asked, if we would have like a check or something for that, but I don't think we ever did.
Didn't have anything we built into that like we did all this other stuff I taught today. But if we saw it, we would, And we did see it once in a game, and we had it ready. I went to bunch, I think was the check, and then we made like an X call where we let the wingback come block the corner, because what they were doing was playing their outside backer more in, and so we crack on the outside backer with the receiver and run into the boundary so he could get there, and then take the wingback and run him out to the corner. We did that for a game that we knew they were going to do it that week because they had done it just before. One team did it 2 games out of the last 60 or 70 games probably. This is bunch. Get a good G call there. That's a good looking play. If you want to see that G call and bunch, meaning the guard's got him. So we're going to block everybody else, but nobody touch him. Or as we call Jerry, we'd have double teamed him. So now we're going to leave him alone. Nobody touches him. Get a kick on him. And that just puts that guy in a bind. He's getting blocked a bunch of different ways. Plus, I'll tell you something else about this particular team that we were playing. They were really good at one linebacker spot. I remember this. This guy right here, can't hardly see him. I think he's number 9 in front of 17. Was really, really, really good. So we could get in this set. We could hard count them. And we really just called, in this case, if it was buck sweep, we want to call bear or bull. We just called it away from him. Didn't make a damn to me which side we ran to. And we did it almost every play, the whole game. Bunch again. So if you want to see a couple of bunches, left him alone, kicked him, got underneath him. You can see it a little better spread out a little more than we should have there. Same way bunch again. I think I grouped these together by formation.
Can you talk a little bit about running buck or jet against the motion? There it was right there, actually.
There it was right there. Yep.
Yeah. So that's actually a good spot to talk about it.
All right. So we got 2 plays that came off of this stuff on motion. We'll talk about the other one next time. So when we sent the Z in motion, and this is the Z, okay, that's not the other running back. Remember, the other running back's blocking now. We sent that guy in motion. We were either going to run power read out here and give him the ball, like run him on stretch, or we were going to run buck away. So we still had that action of, we could run the stretch sweepish plays both ways. But this one always hit. Now, why did we call it? Just to mix it up. I mean, usually got some eyes here. I think the next video, there's it. Let's watch this one. This was all shifts in motion. Now, everybody that's watching this and people watching it back, or whether you're watching it live, everybody's got access to this whole deal, So you got access to all these clips. So if I'm missing something, you go back and watch it yourself. But that's just motion one way. That's actually jet. We bought that jet, not buck. But so we're actually reaching here. But we sent motion. Now, the question would be, why did we send him behind the quarterback? Just so we didn't have a train wreck. And they couldn't tell the difference in that once we already handed the ball off. And you could run a reverse. We ran a reverse off of that too. This is all shifts in motion. Some of them they aren't all that Z motion, but that's what we call breeze and blaze. But there's different stuff. This is probably bringing him across, capture, running jet that way. So we started this formation in a set where we could have run this Z this way and captured with both of them on. And then there was another deal where I think that kid was really good. So we hard counted, sent him in motion, came back the other way. If anybody's got a specific technique question, ask me, because I don't really know what to answer.
Well, there was a question, did we ever throw it to the Z in motion on any of those plays?
We run a reverse off of it. We might not. We would have handed it to him on the reverse, like fake the buck and hand it to him on the reverse. We've done that. So here's the Z, backs over there. He can go in motion. When the ball snapped, and that's the thing. People have asked me, when people have asked me about this play over the years, I always want to know why we sent him behind the quarterback. Look, when the ball snapped, you don't know if you're looking at him, you don't know if that's jet this way or jet that way. I mean, I don't think you do. If somebody does, they can tell me. But then we just told him to go behind because we could run the reverse. We could actually fake it and gave it to him. But getting that action one way always froze the backers, which I shouldn't say always, but it usually did. You can kind of look here. I just looked at that because I just said it. But watch this guy right here. I mean, him stepping out like that makes that hole to cut back into. You needed it. You can see it good here, I guess. But he's not reading the guard. There's no way he's reading the guard if he's doing that. So if you're worried about him reading the guard, there's some things like that you have to do. All right. This is a zip. So we sent the Z in motion across and we went buck to that side. Nothing big there, just a different set, but it captured the edge, gave us that extra blocker. Get out there. That time we're going to the flow. So we sent the motion to that flow. Just changes the angle sometimes. It just changes the angle. Got him running out wide, so we cut back. I mean, that motion probably had something to do with it. Same thing here. That was a bunch, so we had a G call. We didn't block the outside backer, kicked him. There's the outside backer, guard kicked him. Good looking play. The condensed sets here, same thing. As we were running both this particular game, we had several decent plays on the power reading it with our quarterback running it and with the guy motion running this way. So then we just ran the buck sweep back this way. Do the guards take you to the play? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you got to run the pop pass off of it. That's why you got to have all the other action stuff. But you got to make them cheat. Remember, the point was make them cheat to stop it. So if they are like cheating the guards so hard, that's okay too. I mean, that's okay too. Tight again. Some of these tight sets like that, we probably ran out of a sugar huddle, busted a huddle quick or something. That's why the formation's tight like that. Here's more of a regular set. That'd just be blue blaze. Okay. It's just a regular buck. I think we traded the tight end. Yeah. 2 yards there. We started overload here, sent 2 over there. You can kind of see the edge we got there by sending that double trade. Some teams are good at adjusting that stuff, but if they don't move at all, I mean, you see the edge we got. There's no D in there. And this is a good football team. Well coached. Wasn't that. We just caught them on this particular look. We got an easy down block there on 22. It was pretty good. Got a rip. All right. I think that's it, Bo. I've sufficiently taken everybody's time. It's, down to just a few brave souls now.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, quick question. This is
Yes, sir.
This is more validity, I guess, than anything else. Especially off the buck, because we were always unbalanced, and we ran an H. So our H basically did what your wing would do, but he would be stacked behind, like, for example, an inside tackle. So outside tackle blocks down, D in squeezes, he pins D in. Front side guard kicks, backside guard wraps. Have you ever, because I toyed with it once because I have more of a dual threat kit. And I just want, if you think it's worth its grain and salt or not. But I always wanted to try to get +1. I wanted to try to find a way to get one more than you had. Have you ever tried to run like this would be a quarterback run, but ever run a quarterback buck where maybe you're in the L, for example, and
yeah, absolutely,
right, shuffle and make that outside linebacker attack the outside sweep, and then you get your front side and backside guard up into the alley in front of your quarterback, and he pulls it. Is that, similar to how I read, but you're getting one more guy out in front too.
We ran our main quarterback buck was away from the action, like we action left, quarterback buck right, kind of like counter.
Right.
But you could run it to the side like you're talking about. I think if I had an H, it was a little more of a traditional H, then I would have to find ways to run the quarterback more with the other runner, the regular running back.
Right.
Because otherwise some of that stuff's not going to work. The biggest detriment to some of this empty stuff, especially in running the ball, is if one kid is all you got to hand the ball to. And he's on the left. Well, everybody in the damn world knows he's going to the right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not fooling anybody. Now, some of this stuff looks good on film. It's clinic talk. It doesn't work in the game. If you don't have to have 2 kids that are equal, but you got to be able to address it if they overplay one side. So if you had to take your quarterback to get him to be that extra guy so you could keep your H in the game, then my opinion was I would at least toy more with what you're talking about and see how it looked in practice and stuff before I would come up with a new blocking scheme or come up with a new formation that doesn't jive with what y'all do. So I wouldn't come out in this exact formation that I'm talking about. Let your H be one of those wing backs, but run your quarterback. If the running back's going to come one way, the quarterback has to then run the other way a lot. Or there has to be some element of they're going to line up here. And think about, I told you we saw 50 so much. So we saw 3-2 box, 4 across. And if they rolled those safeties, we had to run the other way.
Right.
Like, we just had to. It was stealing.
Right.
So sometimes did they roll them away from the better kid? Yeah, sure. Like, we had a couple of the kids you've seen are better than others, you can tell. Maybe they rolled the safety away from him. But we had to run another kid. So if you have to run your quarterback when they do that, and you're already blocking buck sweep or whatever your play is, power, my advice for offense in general is to always do that. So if y'all are good at power and counter, find a way to run power and counter with that kid away from the one they're setting the defense to, and make it something the O-line already knows how to do. and let it be some window dressing like you're talking about. You know, if it has
Right.
to be a whole new play, like if you aren't great at buck sweep, then I don't know if it'd be good. If you're already pretty good at it and you're running it anyway, and the kids can get the same signal they get normally, and you're just having, the linemen, and you're just telling this kid to do it a little differently with the quarterback now running it, place that. I think that I'd be interested to see how that looked at practice. We made a lot of stuff up at practice that didn't make it to the game. So I wouldn't be scared. A lot of this stuff that's worked good for us was made up in practice. It was one of every 5 things that made it out of practice into the game. So we didn't have spring practice, but if we did, I would have advised that being a great spring practice mix up. But try to find as many plays off of whatever you guys do well up front as possible, whether that's inside zone, counter, power. For us, it was more buck and jet.
Right.
So we just made shit up, honestly, that matched that blocking scheme. So that'd be my advice on anything. But I don't think that's a dumb idea. I think you just have to see more of it before you knew if it would actually look good in practice, not just in theory,
Right. Yes, sir.